This conference will now be recorded.
Uh, okay. Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Sushma from Atlanta, and I welcome you all today to this webinar, which is brought to you by Bobby's Eco BGC, run by Vidya. And you can find more about her passion and various projects on this FB Facebook page, which is with a handle of EcoBGC, and the website is ecobgc.com. Vidya is a permaculturist, a grow green advocate, passionate about sustainability and agriculture. And we at EcoBGC have involved in community reach projects, including providing for distressed women, independent distress rescue events, conducting eco clubs for children, helping farmers, food rescue, flower rescue, and composting and everything. All of which you can see on our website. And along with everything else, we also love reaching out to small farmers. This webinar is a first of a part of series to educate small farmers on sustainable practices in smart farming. And I now hand it over to Vidya to take it, give her inputs and then hand it over to Dr. Ravi Shankar.
Okay. Let me present my screen for a minute. Can you make me the presenter? So, hello everyone. Like we are, thank you for joining me today. So one third of world food. I'm sorry, this slide is at the end. Okay. So one third of world food is produced by small farmers, and yet they're struggling to make a decent living. I am on a quest to finding cost-effective and sustainable solutions to increase food production for small farmers. I'm excited to bring you this webinar on the latest innovations and trends in smart farming that's aimed at helping small farmers. Let's start with the basics. Why smart farming? Smart farming is an approach that uses modern technologies such as drones, sensors, data analytics to optimize resource use and increase efficiency. So the benefits of smart farming, there is increased productivity, efficiency, reduced cost, improved quality of produce, environmental sustainability, access to new markets. Overall, smart farming and sustainable farming practices offer small farmers a range of benefits that can help increase their profitability, reduce their environmental footprint, and contribute to a more sustainable and resilient food system. So, why is smart and sustainable farming important for small farmers? There are many benefits, including reduced cost. By optimizing resource use, small farmers can save money on inputs such as water, fertilizer, and pesticides. If we take a look at the project done by Sundrop Farms in Israel, uh, that's harvesting seawater to grow food in their greenhouses hydroponically. The result is a highly efficient and sustainable method of farming that produces high yields of tomatoes, cucumbers, and peppers while reducing costs associated with traditional farming inputs. So another benefit is increased productivity. Smart and sustainable farming practices can help small farmers produce more food on less land. One such example is the SRI, where it is a set of techniques designed to increase the productivity of rice farms by changing the way rice is planted, grown, and harvested. The results have been impressive, with some farmers seeing up to 50% increase in the rice yields. So, and there is improved soil health. Sustainable practices such as cover cropping and conservation tillage can improve soil health and fertility over time. If you look at this Roderdale Institute in Pennsylvania, they have developed a roller crimper technology that is used as a smart cover crop. This roller crimper is used to terminate cover crops by rolling and crimping the plants, which creates a thick mat of organic matter that acts as a natural weed suppressant and provides nutrients to the soil. And there is reduced environmental impact by minimizing by minimizing the use of harmful chemicals and reducing greenhouse gas emissions. Smart and sustainable farming can help small farmers contribute to climate change mitigation and adaptation. We have a fantastic example of Amai Mahalinga Nayak. He's 70-year-old Padma Shri awardee. He's a day laborer by profession. He turned a hilltop barren land into a lush green food forest by digging into the hill to harvest water. Collected them in percolation tanks. He did multi-layer farming, raised animals on the farm to improve soil fertility by adding manure. He's apiculture that provide pollination and also another stream of income for him. He managed soil microbes by adding natural biofertilizers like nitrogen fixers, phosphorus solubilizers like asparagus niger, Bacillus megatherium, and potash mobilizers like Fracturia, all inoculated in his soil. So like I That's like a fantastic example. And regardless of what kind of method we use in agriculture, we can always implement a sustainable practice. One such example is vertical harvest farms in Wyoming. So vertical harvest farm in Wyoming, they implemented permaculture principles in their vertical farming system. So they used hydroponic systems to grow crops vertically, integrating companion planting for a diverse ecosystem. They created a closed loop system by reusing waste products such as fish waste for their aquaponic system. The farm also provides job opportunities for people with disabilities and is designed to be fully accessible for wheelchair users. These practices align with permaculture principles of efficient resource use, closed loop system, and people care. So there are some challenges and barriers to implementing smart, sustainable farming practices that include a lack of access to technology and capital, limited knowledge and awareness, and insufficient policy support. Strategies for overcoming these challenges could be like include training and education programs, partnership with government and NGO and community-led initiatives, and some eco-friendly alternatives to plastics for each stage of this farming would be like during soil prep, use biodegradable or compostable mulch films. For seed starting, use compostable seed starting pot made from materials like rice husk, coconut coir. Use seed blocks to reduce the need for plastic seed trays. Consider using seed tapes made from biodegradable material, using natural fertilizers, and during harvesting, try eliminating all kind of plastic and consider using baskets and and harvested produce instead of plastic bags. So, by implementing these eco-friendly alternatives to plastic, small farmers can promote sustainability and reduce their environmental impact and also enhance their brand image. By adopting these new technologies and techniques, small farmers can improve their livelihoods while contributing to a sustainable food system. So, I hope this webinar will be informative to the small farmers, who is the who is supposed to be where it is reaching to. And today, let's welcome Dr. Ravi Shankar to share his insights from his vast experience in this field. Shushma, can you invite Dr. Ravi Shankar and make
Uh,
him the presenter?
yeah, thank you, Vidya. Thank you for your inputs on the small farming. And I introduce you all to Dr. Ravi Shankar, who is an entrepreneur, mentor, and an investor in AG Food Tech and rural impact startup ecosystems. Uh, He's also involved in fostering FPOs and driving innovation and technology adoption in the Indian agricultural community across AG food value systems. Dr. Ravi has over 3 decades of experience at the intersection of agricultural policy and data analytics. He's currently a visiting professor at leading business institutes in India and abroad. Dr. Ravi specializes in teaching AI in business adoption, computer vision, and deep learning. He also consults and drives data science driven digital transformation of initiatives at Fortune 1000 firms. Welcome, Dr. Ravi, and we are looking forward to your inputs on small farming and innovations.
Uh, Thank you, Shushma. First and foremost, I would like to, thank Vidya and you for organizing this event, and also for the choice of the topic. One, it's extremely close to my heart: small holders and the use of data and technology, which is smart farming or precision agriculture, as they call it. And also the relevance of the topic, right? Everything can wait, but agriculture cannot wait. And farmers, smallholders, especially farmers, at one level they provide us with food, fiber, fuel, fodder, and whatnot, right? And everything else, medicines including. So with this, I'll get started. I'll just share my I want to share my PPT, entire screen. Okay, that's fine. Okay. Um, can you please confirm if you're able to see my slide deck?
Not yet, Dr. Ravi. I cannot see you presenting.
Okay. All right. So that's interesting. Okay. Let me see window maybe. Okay. I think this should work. Now it should work, I guess. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. So, without further ado, we'll get started. So, the topic specifically was or is latest innovations and trends in smart farming for smallholders. So, it is smart farming, but as relevant to small marginal farmers. So, with this, we'll get started. That's a little bit about me. I've been around. I am still learning, and I've got the good fortune of working with small, large companies. I invest, mentor, and continue to handle a bunch of startups, mostly agri-tech startups in the rural livelihood space. So today in the webinar, for the next 20-25 minutes, uh, we'll understand what are the learning outcomes, what would be the key takeaways. One, we'll understand what is the backdrop, get the topic started or introduced, so to speak. We'll understand the state of the art, in the farming, in smart farming. What is the latest, right? So, and the best. We'll also understand an important topic, a subtopic within the larger topic, which is smart farming scale neutral, i.e., is smart farming equally relevant to smallholders as it is relevant to large farmers or medium farmers, right? So the next important takeaway is how the small farmers would benefit from precision agriculture. And finally, we will have a sneak peek into the future. While all these slides are kind of mm, bucketed into these 5 sections, I'll also be consciously trying to focus on practical use cases or real world examples of how smart farming has benefited small farmers world over, right from Southeast Asia, India, Vietnam, all the way to Mexico and parts of Africa like Kenya, Uganda, all the way to Uzbekistan, etc., etc. So, because the audience is global, I have tried to keep the use case and real world examples also global. So this is a interesting quotation from FAO. FAO is a UN body. It says that just as innovation is often about finding new applications for old methods, smart farming is about implementing affordable, I underscored affordable, and clever ways of improving crop production and productivity without necessarily relying on latest technology. That's the catch. The catch is, just give me a minute. I'll just start. There's some noise outside. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So it's not using the latest technology, but it's using the most affordable and simple ways to improve crop productivity. Yeah, that's smart farming as relevant to a smallholder. Yeah. Now, we all know smallholders, right? Like Vidya articulated, one third of the or more uh, of the food is produced by smallholders, and interestingly, there are large number of smallholders in the globe. Almost, I would say 450 million out of the 570 million farm families are smallholders. This is the latest data from FAO Stat, and they are mostly found in rural areas in the developing world. So it's in the emerging economies and the least developed countries where you'll find large number of cultivators or farmers are essentially smallholders. For example, in India, 85% of farmers are smallholders. When I say smallholders, they hold less than 2.5 acres or 1 hectare of land, and the size of the holding every day, every week, every month, every year is drastically coming down due to subdivision and fragmentation, right? So, and at the end of the day, the solution also lies with small farmers, right? They lie at the heart of the solution, because we have to produce more with less. We have to increase the productivity of crops, improve the productivity of livestock, but we have to do more with less of fertilizers, with less of chemicals, with less of labor, with less of water. So only way we can bring in productivity and efficiency is if we are able to cater to this 85 to 90% of the segment of farmers, right? There's no other way. Um, and the interesting thing is, um, smart farming, if it is kind of pivoted, and if you think smart about smart farming, it is relevant to smallholders, and I'll give a lot of examples as we go along. We know that we are in an era of climate change. There is no vaccine for climate change, unfortunately. So if you look at this particular slide from McKinsey, it says that nearly 80% or more of smallholders in countries like India, Ethiopia, and Mexico, large continents, really, not even countries. So they are at least impacted by one major climate hazard, and most of them are smallholder farmers, right? And there are various kinds of climate risk that they face. Unfortunately, agriculture was and is continues to be the riskiest profession on planet Earth, and it's getting all the more riskier because of climate change. If you superimpose climate change on top of all other factors, it makes the already riskier enterprise much more riskier in terms of drought, in terms of extreme heat, flooding, etc., etc. Yeah, increasing temperatures and so on. But the only way we can also end poverty and hunger is for agriculture to get smarter, and for smallholders to adopt um, affordable, accessible, smart, precision agricultural technologies at the confluence of data and technology. I just don't want to kind of underscore the grand challenge in agriculture, right? The grand challenge in agriculture is by 2050 we are going to be 10 billion, right? Already 6 months back or 5 months back, we hit 8 billion population on planet Earth. So by 2050, I think we will go beyond 10 billion. We may hit 11 to 12 billion, but uh, to feed 10 to 12 billion of hungry mouths world over, we all need to improve production and productivity by almost 30 to 60%. So, and again, we have to do this in a smart way, we have to do this in an eco-friendly way, we have to do this in a way that the ecology environment is preserved and something is left behind for the next few generations to come. Like I told you, the most riskiest enterprise that is there is agriculture, right? And there are a lot of production and crop and livestock production risks that a farmer faces, especially small farmer. What are those? I'll just quickly enumerate. Almost 30 to 35% of the crop at any point in day, across any crop, hundreds of crops and commodities, they are vulnerable to pests and diseases, whether we like it or not. This is a fact. Therefore, that results in 30 to 50% of crop losses per year. It could be because of abiotic stresses and biotic stresses both. Up to 40% of irrigation is mismanaged. There's increasing water scarcity, but whatever fresh water is available, we are filtering away 40 to 50% is inefficiently used. The groundwater resources are declining alarmingly. There's been a 61% decline in groundwater. If you look at the time period from 2007 to 17, that's alarming, right? So groundwater continues to be a major source of irrigation for most farmers. Surface irrigation constitutes less than 30%. And for example, in a country like India, 75% of our districts, we have some 760 odd districts. 75% of those are extreme climate. They face rising temperature, and they're extremely drought prone. And finally, we are seeing unseasonal rainfall, unpredictable rainfall. To take a live example, a very recent example, just a week and a half back, 7 9 days back, there was early pre-monsoon shower, totally unexpected. The shower was so intense. There was a lot of hailstorm in parts of North Karnataka, is the state that I belong to. Thousands of acres of crops like mango, jowar, maize, papaya, all are wiped out because there was unseasonal erratic rainfall, which was totally out of character and out of whack. So some challenges. There are a lot of challenges that agriculturists, smallholders face, and also companies which BFSI is the financial services companies which offer credit to farmers. Credit is a very important aspect for farming, right? Institutional credit. So there are a lot of them. I have bucketed them under four categories. It starts with the high cost of acquiring the land cost itself is pretty high, whether you lease it or rent it or buy it. The second thing is most of the input suppliers, including credit suppliers, have no direct engagement farmers. They go via intermediaries and middlemen, often adding to margins and making the entire process inefficient and the credit almost mm, unaffordable, in the sense that the cost of the credit, right, it goes beyond 20 25%, 30%. So it's not affordable anymore. So then the third challenge is we do not have a real-time information, right, about things like area under cultivation, the onset of pests and diseases, climatic conditions, etc., etc. So we often get this information with a lag by the time the damage is done. So there's no real-time or near real-time information on all these parameters. And finally, we do not get reliable data on yield of farm plots. We know that the yield, among other things, is decided by the agroclimatic conditions, right? So and the yield will vary dramatically across agroclimatic conditions, and also the depending on the package of practices that the farmer adopts, how scientific it is or not. So we do not have reliable data, though in the last few years CGIAR and the various state and national governments are making a huge effort towards it, but still a long way to go. So what is smart farming? It means many things to many people, but I'm just putting it into six technologies, right? It starts with sensors, Internet of Things, right? So when you apply IoT to agriculture, that's where the magic begins. So sensors have become very affordable and accessible over many years. There are few cents, so extremely affordable. So you can have sensors in the soil, which will monitor moisture, light, humidity, sensors about the weather, etc., etc. Software, of course, right? Everything rides on the backbone of technology. When I say technology, it's both the hardware and software. Most of the software, right, where you capture the data, pre-process the data, feature engine the data, and then migrate it to cloud, and then push it to the mobile as a set of recommendations. So software is the key, right? So which enables all of this. Connectivity, of course, if you're not on the network, if you're out of network, nothing works. The good news is that most farmers have access to a smartphone these days, and also the coverage to network is also expanding and increasing by the day, by the month. It's also good news that in a country like India, for example, 5G was launched in October last year, and now we have 50 60 cities where 5G technology is available, and it's rapidly spreading. There's a national fiber network across all the 6.5 lakh villages of India that is being laid. I think we're 70 80% there. So connectivity becomes very key. That is access to internet. Location, right? So this is another game-changing technology, very transformative. The satellite imagery and the GPS, GPRS data is real game changer. We will talk about it in a bit. Next is robotics. It's not only the robots for large farms. Now we have a slew of startups in India which are focusing on developing robots which can address labor shortage and inefficiency in a way that is customized to Indian farms. So you have very affordable small robots which farmers, smallholders can rent and lease for few hundred rupees, not in thousands of rupees, which makes the entire the agronomic practice, right from sowing to harvesting and post harvesting, much easier, addressing the vital problem of labor scarcity, yeah, in India. And then there is data analytics. I think data analytics or data science or AI ML, artificial intelligence, machine learning, is a common thread that kind of makes all this above said, aforesaid technologies powerful. So you convert data into information on one hand, and information into insights which the farmers kind of adopt as a set of recommendations. So that is smart farming for you, six technologies put together. That is in essence one way to look at smart farming. So smart farming is also known as precision agriculture. You can look at smart farming as a superset and precision agriculture as a subset. Precision agriculture is a way of an approach to smart farming. That's the way I'd put. So it addresses some vital questions, like for example, what is the current microclimatic condition on my farm? It's not enough if the public authorities or the public sector makes forecasts available for the district or for a county. That's not good enough. It has to be at a micro level, it has to be at the farm level or the most of the village level. How it is going to impact my crop growth? How, for example, what is the soil level of soil moisture 6 or 12 inches beneath the surface in my farm? These are some of the questions that how safe is my crop from a potential outbreak of pests and diseases? So you need data for making all the informed decisions, right? So that's the key. So I told you there are two game-changing technologies, but I'm putting it into four categories. One starts with satellite imagery, then we're talking about drones, sensors, and GPS technology. Among the six or seven smart farming technologies, I think we'll focus today, given the paucity of time, on satellite imagery and sensors. Relatively speaking, satellite imagery and sensors are more transformative than drones and GPRS. It's not one technology versus other. In fact, everything has to come together, but we'll focus on satellite imagery and sensors because relatively speaking, they are transformative and game changing. So Vidya also articulated benefits of precision farming. I'll just recap it very quickly. It helps you to save cost, it helps boost the productivity. It helps you to also produce better quality. It's not only quantity but quality of produce so that you can export it. And it's also sustainable. It helps you to meet the SDGs and ESG. Yeah, it helps you to do farming in a way that it is coherent to the nature, in a way that is eco-friendly and it's environmental friendly. The issue is that of slow adoption. It's not that precision farming or smart farming is a new term or concept. It has been around for the last 2.5 3 decades, but it's only in the last decade or so that the uptake, especially in and the adoption, especially in emerging economies, has started to take off. And thanks to a large extent to agri-tech startups. And I have a great belief. I'm a great believer, and I have a great firm conviction in agri-tech startups because I think they solve a real problem and can do stuff which the governments have failed for many decades for whatever reasons. So some of the key areas to work on is one: how do we reduce the learning curve? There's a lot of technology out there. It's just that you don't have to reinvent the wheel. How do we improve connectivity in rural areas? So now we have satellites, you have feature phones, you have smartphones, and also there are some startups. There's one startup from the Indian Institute of Science in Bangalore, right here, where I'm based out of, where they come up with a technology where the latency and redundancy of network through network in India, the way internet is provided is through telecom towers, right? So the telecom towers, unless you don't have a physical tower, you don't have coverage. So how do you reduce how do you overcome this predicament which requires high capital expenditure. So there are startups to come up with very affordable technology which makes internet network expandable and available in an affordable way. Ultimately it boils down to the cost of technology, right? Any technology for small holders to be relevant has to be affordable. It cannot be in few thousands, it has to be in few hundreds, it has to be in hundreds of rupees, or few dollars, right? So it cannot be in hundreds and thousands of dollars. So this is ultimately it boils down to smart people. Only smart people can deliver smart farms. And this smart people, we're talking about small holders, right? So small holders have been farming for ages. You know, if you look at one farmer, his father, her father, grandfather, all the way, it's across generations. So smart farming has multiple benefits, both natural and financial. You look at all the benefits. It can reduce fertilizer cost by 39%, labor cost by 85%, improve harvesting period by 1.5 months, and therefore increasing the crop productivity efficiency, right? At the end of the day, you have to produce more with less. So precision agriculture is also referred to as Internet of Plants and Fields. Very interesting, or Ag IoT as we call. But data is key. Without data, all these technologies cannot realize its full potential. You have to, whether it's sensors, satellites, they all generate the data. So one needs to capture the data, pre-process, store, and feature engineer it and convert it into information and insights that can be pushed to the farmer through his mobile phone as real-time recommendations, right, from pre-harvest to cultivation to post-harvest, all of that, right? So good thing is we have computer-based algorithms, which is AI ML. We'll talk about it in the last section. We have cloud technologies. All the technologies exist. Only thing is we have to make it affordable and accessible. Um, we also know that smart farming is the only way to deal with global issues, be it greenhouse gas emissions, global warming, climate change, etc., etc. And finally, data and converting data into insights is the only way forward. We're in the digital world, and we need to rely on data driven or science based evidence farming. Which the good news is that small farming is scale neutral, and smallholders have been and will continue to adopt smart farming technologies. And that way, it's a robust solution to pressing challenges that the world is facing. Yeah. So digital technologies are key disruptors of food supply system. This is one of the key takeaway from all the research that I've been constantly tracking and keeping eye on. So how does it help? When you say digital technologies like sensors, satellite imagery, drones, etc., etc., it improves efficiency and speed. It also helps by redistributing information and power on the value chain. So you're reducing the information asymmetry. That's the key. It's also by providing precise information to the farmers on how to do what on all the agronomic practices, right from pre-saving to post-harvest, all of that, right, in a friendly manner, in a climate friendly. Also enhancing traceability and sustainability across the food value chain. We're talking about blockchain technology, right? So these are the ways. So a little bit about a backdrop. This is an use case, a real world example that FAO, Food and Agriculture Organization, kind of jointly, it was a project that was recently kind of undertaken by the government of Vietnam, government of Uzbekistan, IBM as the technology partner, and FAO and the UN body and CGI institutes as the science partners. So if you look at this, it's not always, when you say smart farming, what comes to mind is satellite imagery, artificial intelligence, cloud technology, etc., etc. These are not these are not by any means going to cost cheap, but these are going to cost you a lot of dollars. But smart farming is not about complex costly technologies. It's about for smallholders, it's about how do you look at affordable and clever ways, simple pivots. Of course you're using all of the technology, and when you adopt it at scale, the cost will come down, but it's making it affordable, and also simple, smart, pragmatic, clever ways of boosting crop production, at the same time making sure that the resources are used efficiently and without harming the environment. So you are in a way achieving multiple objectives in one go, right? So for example, in this particular case, we are talking about greenhouses. How do we improve production in greenhouses. How do you produce more with less of pesticides, less of fertilizers, less of water, less of labor, but say, by making sure that it's safe. So therefore, the scientists and IBM came up with a low-cost, bespoke, optimized greenhouse where they were able to overlook traditional practices, and they kind of replaced that with special sticky traps for insects, the one you can see here, for insect control, and also a bio solution called as a buff-tailed bumblebee for pollination, to improve the pollination. So simple technological interventions can go a long way in improving the productivity. That's the key message. Now, another UN body, the World Economic Forum, did a study for small farmers ecosystem in India, to see how agtech innovation, smart farming, is improving the value capture and transforming the lives of smallholders in India. So some key takeaways, two, three key takeaways. Almost 86 to 90%, I would say, farmers are smallholders. That means they are economically impoverished and unable to capture the value for the produce in a way that they are able to just harvest it. Beyond that, they're not able to capture the consumers share in producers rupee, as we would say. So value capture is pretty weak. But the key thing is that technology, we talked about six smart farming technologies. The technologies, they offer huge potential to improve farmer incomes by driving overall value creation, and also increasing the power of value capture at smallholders level. So that's the key. Technology is the key, but technology is to be affordable. At the same time, the farming ecosystem has to be integrated. It cannot be only crop. It has to be crop, livestock, fisheries, dairy, poultry, commercial crops, staple food crops, millets. All of this integrated farming can really help improve the value creation, and also potentially adding $76 billion. So there's a lot of money, right? So one statistics also points to capturing 135 billion agtech startups in India by next 2 3 years have potential to capture $135 billion. So this is a lot of money that can go into the hands of the smallholders, and also make sure that the consumers get safe produce at affordable cost as well. And a lot of solutions. I will. The last point is all the solutions that intervention solution that comes about, which I'm showing as a infographic here in this slide. These are the different stakeholders: farmers, aggregators, the processors, and final consumers. So you call it farm to fork, seed to plate, all jargons, but these are all different solution types that can address various stakeholders using smart farming technologies. Yeah, this is a good infographic. The key solution is the confluence of the fusion of data and technology, right? Without data, the two things have to come together and fuse well. That's where the solution lies. A solution that is affordable and accessible by smallholders. So on an average, one farm generates 500,000 data points per day, and this will grow to 4 million data points by 2036. That's what a IBM study says in Malaysia. And these data points kind of cover wide spectrum, right from inputs like fertilizers, pesticides, to weather, to soil nutrient, to harvesting days, etc. The entire farm value ecosystem, right? So this trove of data is very important, because it's data that can help you to take informed decisions and improve crop productivity. It's very important and crucial, especially now if you add climate change as another crucial challenge on top of all the challenges that small farmers are facing. Data and information and insights, real-time insights, become key. So these are smart agriculture that uses data and automation like robotics will address challenges, and leveraging these technologies that includes AI, cloud, etc., will make small farms more profitable, efficient, and environmental friendly. Multiple objectives, all of them can be. That is the beauty of the power of these transformative technologies. And finally, transformation is possible through IoT, blockchain, analytics, etc. Now look at the technology solutions. These are all the inputs. These are all the data inputs or features, data source systems, and all of this could be synthesized, converted into information and insights, real time, near real time, and then provided to the farmers or other stakeholders as a push in a mobile app, notification in a mobile app. Most farmers today, almost 700 crores or 70 million farmers have smart access to smartphone technologies, right? So, or it could be in form of a web app, etc., etc. So two out of the six will focus today in the next 5 minutes on two game-changing technologies. One is Internet of Things that as applied to agriculture, called as Ag IoT, and then satellite imagery. Yeah, these are the two technologies we will kind of dwell upon at some length today. So this is how typically from this is the platform view, how to take ecosystem view of. So you have the crop, you have a lot of sensors in the soil, weather sensors in the farm, and then you have the software or the platform to capture all the data and convert data to decision using AI technologies, and then um, finally push it as a set of recommendations to the farmers, right? So now focusing on IoT first. Internet of Things is a game changer. So it means that capturing real-time data using on-farm sensors to deliver farm-specific, crop-specific, crop stage-specific actionable recommendations to the farmer via mobile phones in local vernacular languages. This is the core of application of IoT to agriculture. So what does it do? This is how a typical IoT device looks. And most interesting thing is small farmers are started to adopt, and there are around half a dozen agri-tech startups who are doing this in India, and hundreds of thousands of small farmers have already adopted it in India. So it helps you to helps with things like precise irrigation using when to irrigate, how much to irrigate. It helps you with uh, precise management of pests and diseases, right? It helps you with forecasting microclimatic conditions, very important, not macro, micro, hyper local forecasts. That's the key. And we'll talk about that in the end. And then we'll talk about how it will help you to plan the dynamic crop. See, crop planning is never static, it is dynamic, it changes by the day, by the week, by the month. And finally, if it's at the end of the day, it boils down to business. At the end of the day, there's investment and there's a return on investment. Therefore, farm finance management. So IoT, when properly designed and applied to agriculture, helps with all the major aspects. How does it work? Infographically, this is how it works. So you have a device, and then you have this is the IoT device, and plus you superimpose additional data like satellite imagery data, etc., etc., and Doppler data, etc., and then convert all this data, take it to the cloud, have the secret sauce, which is your AI ML engine, and then convert it into push application notifications or dashboards on mobile, which the farmer can access, or it could be some early warning system like high risk, what to do, what interventions farmers have to take real time. Yeah. So through mobile app, you can do wonderful things. A lot of advisories. These are all the source systems, data source systems, and you can have many more. It helps you with geotagging the area, right from geofencing your area remotely to weather forecast for the next 14 days. Now we have 8-hour forecast. We'll come to that in the end. Recommendations of what to apply, how to control whether chemical or biopesticides, and what should be the optimum dosage of inputs, including fertilizers, and how do you customize the agronomic package of practices. All of this, and then so that you get a better view and productivity of the insights that will. So the second game changer, and I think this is the strongest yet, is satellite imagery. Satellite imagery is becoming extremely affordable and accessible these days. Nowadays you have geostationary and other kinds of satellites which will give images every few hours and few days, and the cost is becoming extremely affordable also. So it helps you with precision agriculture, like monitoring the crops, collecting samples, fertilizing, etc., etc. It helps you to protect the environment. We're talking about the agri ecosystem. Subsidies, how much subsidies to be given, because subsidies, farmers, small farmers are vulnerable and they need support. The governments, uh, right from United States to Europe to Australia to India, all governments provide subsidies of various kinds, input subsidy uh, to the farmers, and of course, since agriculture is a riskiest profession, then it needs to be insured. So satellite imagery helps provide insurance to farmers, smallholders, in a very affordable manner. There are 2 3 companies that I know which already have issued 5 million policies, insurance policies, smallholders in Africa, in countries like Kenya and Tanzania. There's one particular company called Spula, Pula, which is doing a wonderful job. It only costs few less than $1 or so, the premium. So it's extremely affordable, scalable, etc., etc. And finally, satellite imagery helps you to ensure food security. How do you feed 10 to 12 billion population by 2050? That's the key. So satellite imagery also, there are a lot of use cases. I put them into four categories. One, it helps you with assessing plant health, right? Secondly, how do you forecast and monitor yields? Thirdly, it helps you to plan your field, right? How to map your field, which crop to grow where, how do you allocate your land holding to different crops and other activities on the farm. And finally, how do you fertilize or irrigate or fertigate, etc., etc. Yeah. So there are a lot of solutions that satellite imagery can offer to various stakeholders, including FPOs. FPO is nothing but a farmer producer organization. In India, we have around 7,000 farmer producer organization and farmer producing companies, FPOs and FPCs for short. These are nothing but collectives or cooperatives, farmer cooperatives. So these are all the various advantages. I don't want to read them out. Multiple advantages that satellite imagery. Now, the other use case or help that satellite imaging can do is for banking and financial institutions which provide credit to farmers, right? So right from KYC norms to assessing the damage to assessing crop yield, etc., etc. All of this can be done in a very precise, efficient manner through so. And also we talked about crop insurance, how I give the example of Pula in Africa. In India also there are a couple of startups like Gram Cover, for example, and there are two other upstarts which are trying to use leverage satellite imagery to provide insurance solutions, affordable insurance solutions too. So this is especially during claims and adjudication, satellite imagery plays very critical role in scientific precise estimation of the damage and claims. These are all the various use cases that satellite imagery provides for a particular micro farm. We're talking about the micro farm level, and it's useful for all the. These are all the particular utility that proposition that satellite imagery provides at a micro level, at the farm level. Yeah. So these are all. So I've given some case studies of how farmers. We're talking about small marginal farmers in India, and what is with the. This is a use case of early warning system of pest and insect disease outbreak, and there's a lot of benefits. As similarly, this particular use case is about how do you reduce cost and improve productivity, right? This is about crop acreage. This is at a macro level. This for a country Sri Lanka. We did this for one particular crop, coconut in Sri Lanka, using satellite imagery. Also, one other use case, yield estimation. Again, this is at a macro level, but macro level, this is for the state of Gujarat, northwest part of India. So it starts with the individual farms, and then you aggregate millions of farms or districts, and then across the state, right? So, and finally, risk estimation of drought. This is for the state of Karnataka. You can see the color code. We are able to, using multi-satellite surface technology by county or taluk, we are able to figure out the root soil zone moisture over 105 days, based on which the government of Karnataka will declare whether a county or a district is drought prone or not. So there's a lot of implications, etc., etc., to undertake cloud seeding, so that you can get some rainfall. Also, drought on the one hand and flood on the other, right? So these are impacts of extreme climate change. So you can look at how satellite imagery is helping in that aspect. So how again, using satellite imagery, how satellite imagery helps financial institutions making the right decisions on underwriting credit, and also advancing how much credit can we predict the probability of default, etc., etc. Yeah. Weather forecasting is another important. Now this is the last section. Really, we're talking about the state of the art, right? A sneak peek into what is possible. So one important aspect that we continue to struggle in India and elsewhere also is microclimate prediction. Um, it's not good enough if you predict that there's going to be rainfall for the county or for the district. That doesn't make any difference. It has to be at the village level or the farm level. So let's look at how artificial intelligence and machine learning, especially deep learning, right? Neural nets, how neural nets are improving microclimate forecasting. so that it helps the smallholder in a practical, pragmatic way. Of course, you need a lot of so how there are four ways: accuracy, reliability, replicability, and adaptability. I'm not going to read out that, but you need a lot of stuff besides AI and ML. Assuming that you have what you have, it helps you to predict microclimate in a better way. It helps you to provide hyper local decisions. It forecasts, right? This is the micro weather services forecast, and finally IoT sensors and Doppler radars. Assuming you have some amount of hardware already on the ground. For example, in India, the IMD, the Indian Meteorological Department, has 25 Doppler radars. And we are planning to add 25 more by 2025. So there's a lot of hardware, but then assuming you have the hardware on ground, whatever is available, because this is high capex, how do you, and then satellites, right? So how do you improve weather forecasting using, for example, a convolutional neural net, long short term neural net architecture? Can we improve the forecast? Of course we can. If you look at this particular paper, which was published recently last year, this paper talks about improving the forecasting accuracy using existing data sets. This is the neural net architecture, and they're able to they compared two models, and they found that the shallow model, which is computationally cost effective, as opposed to the deep model, accuracy forecasts are pretty much same. So how do you compute more efficiently and get more accurate forecasts? The second use case is a neural net, again, to uh, forecast precipitation in the 8-hour window. So we need micro weather forecasts at smaller frequency. That's the key. 8 hours, 12 hours, 4 hours. That's what makes a difference to farmers life. Not saying that it's going to rain next week, right? That doesn't make much of a difference to the farmer. So this is a research that was recently undertaken by Google, and they have figured out, using deep neural networks, they have been able to um, forecast with great degree of accuracy within a shorter time period of 8 hours whether there's going to be precipitation or not, right? So wonderful. So this is the architecture, again, a neural net architecture, deep neural network. In summary, small scale, small farmers, small holders also can do smart farming by using IoT, robotics, satellite imaging. But the key thing is, today, a lot of agri-tech startups have come which have made this technology affordable and accessible. A lot of farmers in India, Southeast Asia, Africa started to use these technologies. But as the adoption continues to expand, the cost will go down. Therefore, making it more affordable. A, B, a lot of public, a lot of public regulatory framework, enabling policy framework by the federal and state governments is also giving a lot of thrust and push towards adoption of the multiple technologies to enable smallholders to become smart farmers, right? So um, this is how the future should look like. Look at this. This is he's the founder of a IoT company in agriculture called as Fuzzle, which I was mentoring when they were early stage 2 3 years back. Now they've become significantly big, and a success story. He says that, think about an app that will show what crop to grow with a simple button that will activate robots that will sow seeds. The farmer will receive alerts on the app that how much a crop needs water via a connected button through an IoT connected irrigation pump, and alerts for spray. A fleet of drones will spray the farm, and farm is crop when the crop is ready, the farm robots automatically harvest. Now this is, and it's not it's not a sci-fi fiction or a utopian imagination. It's getting, we are getting pretty close now. These things are happening in bits and pieces, but if all of this come together, then you have the farm of the future. And good news is that small farmers are using all of this, and it's all through IoT, satellite technology. These are the game changers. And good news is that they are being adopted. They have become affordable and accessible. With this, I will take a pause, and I would want to thank you. And we'll open up the session for Q&A. There are a lot of supporting slides that I have provided at the bottom of the presentation. uh, with this, over to you, Vidya and Shushma.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ravishankar Garu, for this wonderful session in taking us through IoT devices for small farmers, precision farming techniques, mobile app usage, and satellite imagery, and many more valuable inputs in micro level smart farming and practical aspects of it. We greatly appreciate you sharing your knowledge to all of us out here today. And I would like to open this to question and answers from the participants now. Any questions and answers for Dr. Ravi or Vidya?
I have questions, Dr. Ravi. So, from your experience, would you have any advice for farmers facing a slow season?
Um, can you? I didn't get the last part. Can you repeat
Like,
what the question, please? Yeah.
so any advice for farmers facing a slow season?
Slow, what do you, I'm not understanding. What is a slow season?
Slow season in sense they have ample produce and they don't know how to uh, send it to the consumers, or they don't
Okay,
have
got
enough
it, got it. Okay,
marketing.
okay.
Yeah.
So you're talking about market linkages, basically. So yeah, you
Yes.
harvested, but how do you connect it to the consumers, right? So that's the question, right? So
Like they have ample produce, like most of the times
yes,
we have like watermelons or tomatoes, like the
yes,
commonly
yes.
consumed, we have huge ample produce and it's sitting
Right,
there.
right. Yeah. So I think that's the holy grail in agriculture. How do you get enough the right price for the produce that has been cultivated or harvested, right? So typically what happens is when there's a glut in production, the price falls. So now, for example, there are solutions. I can give example of India. The federal government, the government of India, has created a pan India marketing infrastructure or a platform called as ENAM, Electronic ENAM, National Agriculture Market, where any farmer can sell his or her produce anywhere in India. He or she can discover the price. Um, and because historically, if you look at it, the biggest problem that the farmer faced was information asymmetry. He didn't know what is the price. Today, he can discover the price on the national market. He or she can sell. That's one way. The other way is a lot of startups. There are quite a few startups which are addressing this market linkage. How do you create effective market linkage between the producer and the consumer, right? So there are some hyper local solutions and there are pan India solutions as well. So I believe technology again in terms of price discovery, in terms of creating channels or platforms which farmers can easily access and bypass the middlemen, so-called intermediaries, so that um, the other way is focusing on post-harvest solutions. When I say post-harvest solutions, how do you how do you value add? Let's say we have let's say tomatoes and watermelons. You have excess of those, right? So if I can do value addition, if I can convert tomato into ketchup, into puree, or if I can store watermelons, cold storage is one, but it has to be hyper local decentralized solutions. So there are players, private players, agtech startups which are focusing on storage solutions, cold storage solutions. They're also both at the wholesale level and the retail level, but both levels in a decentralized manner. And also a lot of startups. And again, it's a very big complex problem where the public sector and private sector have to come together. The public sector, for example, has there's a Ministry of Food Processing in India, the central government, where there are at least 15 to 18 different schemes which are promoting post-harvest technologies. How do you process your food so that you can process that, keep it, and sell it at a time when there is, so that way you kind of regulate and sync the demand and supply. These are some of the solutions.
So, any advice you give, like for a small farmer? See, there could be events like a severe drought, rainwaters. I mean, you actually collect the rainwater in the ponds and all, and sometimes it goes empty, or some other cause. Any smart methods of risk mitigation plan or advice that you can give?
Yeah. I mean, there are two. two solutions essentially. Now, one, insurance. There's no other way, because um, you're going to face issues of climate change, whether severe stress of moisture or sudden rainfall. It could be either or both. Therefore, only way to kind of cover your quarters is through insurance. Good news is that, again, public private sector. The government of India, the central government, for example, in India, has a scheme called as the PMFBY, the Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana. So as for low as 100 200 rupees, you can insure your crops and livestock. There are private players also who have come, agri-tech startups like Gram Cover in India, for example. I give the example Pula in Africa. So these are for few hundred rupees, so very affordable micro sachet insurance products. A. B, the other way is to have a community type interventions, right? So because water conservation is watershed development, it's a community based, but it has to be decentralized watershed kind of initiatives to kind of harvest rainwater, to store rainwater and use that when there's a deficiency of soil moisture, or when there's excess, you can see how you can manage, and the watershed kind of absorbs all the excess water. So that way, you kind of balance both the excess and the deficit. These are the only two ways that I can think about. There's no other way you can protect smallholders from vagaries of monsoon or vagaries of weather. The only way is to go with affordable micro sachet insurance products. There's no other way.
Okay.
Right. Hello, Dr. Ravi. Yeah, thanks for sharing the information. Actually, I'm Sridhar here from North Carolina. Do you recommend
Nice.
actually any? We are a new farmers entering into this area, right? And any beginners? What to start actually, and what is the best crop? Okay, based on the US zoning, right? And I'm not sure actually whether you have done any research on the US side, but I think it's a vague question. But my point is actually, is it really worth actually trying that the farming?
Yeah, Yeah, thanks, Sridhar. I think I get your point. Though I'm not as keyed in, but I think I do follow the trends in US as well. But it's a holy grail. The question that you ask, see, agriculture or agribusiness is the best business provided you do it scientifically, right? And you need to have the domain subject matter expert along with the business acumen. When you get all of this data and technology, business acumen, and domain expert, agribusiness is the best business to be in, but it's fraught with danger, like the way I articulated. To answer your specific question, Sridhar, uh, which crop or commodity or which agribusiness to go after depends on so many factors. But the key ones to consider are the agroclimatic zone that you are in, whether you, I don't know, whether you're in Phoenix or in Chicago or Midwest or the South, or in the Bay Area. So it depends on the agroclimatic zone. A. B, you have to do some economic research, demand, the demand supply, what is the forecast for that particular commodity. And C, whatever agri or crop business you want to get in, the key is value addition or processing. For every dollar that you sell as a raw material, you're leaving behind $5 to $7 or $9 in terms of value addition. If you look at post-harvest processing of that product or commodity, that is where you have a lot of dollars in terms of profits and margins. These are the two, three key things I would leave it on table for you to consider. But then it becomes very specific, which area you are in, what is the agroclimatic zone, and so on and so forth. Right? There are so many factors that come into play. Yeah.
So I can add to that question as well, Sridhar. Suppose since I know you are in zone B, right? So we can opt for more that goes with the zone. So for zone 7, if you want to do the livestock, I mean, they fare well in this climate. These breeds of cattle like Angus, and then some particular breeds of pigs like Berkshire, Duroc, or some sheep is Dorper or Suffolk. These kind of breeds, if we go for those breeds, they will survive well and produce, eat less and produce more. That is with regards to what I'm saying is livestock. Now, picking the right seed or picking the right breed, that will perform better, uh, like taking into consideration the climate and the rainfall that we have. See, like a more drought prone region, if they're growing beans and maize, it makes no sense. Instead, if they go opt for, if it's it's a large crop, if you opt for millets, then it is drought resistant and it doesn't need much water input. So that is how your market, your business plan, what do you want to grow, how much you have, and how much budget you have. There's a lot of factors, I think, already, because you are already a farmer. But these are certain things I think we should take into consideration, and it is also eco-friendly at the same time when we pick native plants or something that will uh, uh, perform better in that weather.
Thank you. Yeah, definitely. Actually, I think you're right. Actually, right next to my farm, there is a Angus farm. Actually, yeah, I think all the local farmers actually they have done through all the research, right? And they will stick with that. Actually, NC also help them, NC State, right? And they will suggest actually what is the right thing, right? So that actually he can yield some profit end of the year.
Right, right,
Right.
right, sir.
And yeah, I think I think the smart farming actually, the Ravi, you brought a very good thing actually. Those are very innovative ideas, right? But
Yes, yep.
is there anyone doing analysis actually? Let's say that in a 1 acre farm, if you do smart farming, right? How much it costs? What is the device cost and internet cost and all the other energy costs, right? Anyone calculating this actually as a farmer, right? If we adopt that new technology, what is the additional cost? Okay, can anyone provide a help, okay, for them actually instead of he investing on the smart farming, right? Somebody else actually will set it up.
Yes. Yeah, Sridhar, that's a wonderful observation. Actually, there are sub studies, research studies already carried out by organizations. We call them CGIAR, Consultative Group on International Agriculture. It's a World Bank group of institutions, like, for example, ICRISAT, for example, IRRI, for example, CIMMIT. They are present all over the world. They are world class, and they routinely undertake such studies. If you go to ICRISAT's website or IRRI's website or CIMMIT's website, these are all CGIAR institutes. Or if you go to FAO website, you will find a lot of research publications looking at the economics of smart farming, right? What is the cost? What are the returns for smallholders? And it has been conclusively proved in the last 2.5 decades. Multiple research has proved that the ROI is extremely high, that in the range of 70 to 90% almost, and the crop productivity is goes up by 30 to 40%. Cost goes down by 35%. So overall impact is 70 to 90% ROI.
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah, that's good. How we can contact you actually if in case actually we want to do something? Is there any way we can
Yeah,
you're available?
Vidya. Yeah,
Yes.
Vidya has my coordinates. She will share
Oh,
it
okay.
with you. I'm always open
And
to helping you folks anytime. Yeah.
then we will reach out to Vidya actually. Thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much, Vidya, for conducting this, sharing the link. Yeah.
Okay. Any more questions? Any more questions from anyone? Okay, then I would like to invite Raghu, who's an organic farmer, for his closing remarks. Raghu did his MS in software engineering from BITS Pilani, and He worked in IT sector for 5 years and quit the job later on to pursue his dream to become a filmmaker. Right now, while working on his debut feature film as a writer, director, and producer, he's into conserving native varieties of paddy at his conservation farm called the Rice Lab, and he's been doing this natural farming for the last 3 years. Raghu, can you please take it over and give your final remarks, please? Raghu Garu.
Yeah, yeah. Hello.
Yes, we can hear you, Raghu.
Yeah, yeah. Sir, the presentation was so inspiring and informative. So, not into this business actually. This is completely new to me. So, as far as my why I came to agriculture is that so I love for these native varieties of any seeds. Eating is not at all whatever tomato you're eating right now is not a natural tomato. So already it was hybridized and they are doing GMO eating. All these things happening actually because of the productivity so on. But as far as me, is concerned that so whatever you are doing it, you only think about business. So I think uh, we are into the problem actually. So I came to the farming just to get the quality food. So first thing. So this is that's why I become a so right now we are native varieties of seed and thing is that buying local food, regular food, the high cost it's not it is so now farming we are the good and we are distributing the same food to the tribal community. So whatever I from last whatever agriculture getting any benefit. So whatever who
Raghu,
is
Raghu,
business
your
out of
voice is breaking.
Raghu, your voice is like breaking a lot. I think he
hello,
got
can you hear me?
disconnected.
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
Raghu,
Yeah, yeah.
are you still with us, Raghu? We can't hear
Yeah,
you.
yeah, 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 yeah. So
yes, we can
can
hear you
you
now.
hear
Raghu.
me? Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So so the real actually I'm the real farmer. So I have 2 acres of land. I am producing the native varieties of rice. I am selling to my family and friends. So I am getting enough money. But a lot of people they're unable to sell their produce. So this is the main problem actually. A lot of my friends they left the job and they become farmers. And after 2 to 3 years of their doing this farming, they got a lot of losses and again they back to job. So this is the reality. So whatever the people here what happened in urban farming natural farming also lot of people middlemen came so in the name of helping the farmers. So these guys are getting more money than the real farmer. So if our technology help to farm is forget educate to
Shishma, maybe you can ask him to send you him, and you can read it out that way, a chat, because he can't hear.
Raghu, I cannot, I mean, we cannot hear you. I'm not sure what's wrong. I mean, the network connectivity is like we just can't hear any voice from you. So if there is any remark, I mean, any final thing that you want us to convey to the group, please send it to us in the chat and we'll relate. Uh, I think we lost Raghu's connectivity. So again, thank you very much, every one of you. Thank you for making this. Vidya, Dr. Ravi Shankar, and Raghu, and each and every one of you for taking your time out. Please make sure you drop your comments on our website or the Facebook, and also what are you looking forward to from us in our future sessions? Our